But what if everything in relationship was just school for getting masterful? Is a place to go get better. Not how do I get her to quit doing that? How do I get her to do that? How do I find another woman that does it differently? She's being disrespectful. What do I do? Or she's being flirty with other men on social media. How do I handle that? I always tell men, we always ask the wrong question. We go, why is she doing that? Or how can I get her to do it different? Or where can I find another woman that doesn't do that? Those are all the wrong questions. The question is, what does this tell me about her nature and how does that fit into my great life?
How can I differentiate between getting through the hard times and letting go of the small stuff and being in a doomed relationship with someone you're just not compatible with?
Oh
What are the
my.
lines?
That's called, a couple years of therapy to work through that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Again, I'm considered a relationship expert. I've been married 3 times. I've bumbled
Mm-hmm.
my way through every relationship I've ever
Yep.
had.
Yep.
I no longer see them as what I always tell men, whatever your male mind thinks a woman can do for you is wrong. And I
Mm-hmm.
tell women the same thing. Whatever your female brain thinks a man can do for you is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do know that if we're conscious and we approach it in a particular way, relationships can be powerful personal growth machines.
Yeah.
We're not going to find a perfect person. We're not going to find a person without dysfunction. We're not going to find a person that just checks every box. Now, even learning how in less than functional relationships,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to communicate, ask for what we want, set boundaries, remove ourselves, soothe ourselves, treat everything as a learning experience, be a good ender. Being a good ender is not my strong suit. I tend to stay way too long
Yeah.
in unsatisfying relationships. But I still even treat that as part of my growth process of how do I get better at it.
Yeah.
So what if everything in relationship was just school for getting masterful? Is a place to go get better.
Yeah.
Not how do I get her to quit doing that? How do I get her to do that?
Right.
How do I find another woman that does it differently?
Right.
It's school is okay, she's giving me the cold shoulder. What do I need to do to step up and handle that? Or
Yeah.
she's saying hurtful things to me. She's being disrespectful. What do I do?
Yeah.
Or she's being flirty with other men on social media. How do I handle that?
Right.
Or she's decided, she's not interested in sex anymore. All of these, I always tell men, we always ask the wrong question. We go, why is she doing that? Or how can I get her to do it different?
Mm-hmm.
Or where can I find another woman that doesn't do that? Those are
Yeah.
all the wrong questions. The question is, what does this tell me about her nature and how does that fit into my great life?
Yeah. Why is she doing it? What does she need? Is it fixable? Is it something that I'm doing wrong I could change, or is she just tired of me? I think that, I mean, if I was going to answer that question more directly, um, how do you tell the difference between something that's just doomed and getting through the hard times? I think it's whether or not you can get through the hard times. I think that's your answer. I think if you're having a hard time and you get through it and you come out the other side, you know you can do that with this person. But if it just drags on and on, at some point you have to, like, you just have to have a reasonable boundary, you know? Um,
Well, and I'll add to this that people, sometimes in snarky, internet comments, well, why should I
yeah.
listen to what you say about relationships? You've been divorced twice and blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And
Yeah.
okay, don't listen. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
I teach from my mistakes. I didn't read a book somewhere and say, here's how you do it.
Hmm.
I've made all the mistakes. Now, here's one thing that I have learned looking back at every relationship that I'm no longer in.
Hmm.
So let's say half a dozen longish term adult relationships.
Hmm.
Um, Everyone, maybe with the exception of one, but everyone that I'm not still in, at some point in the relationship, the woman basically dug her heels in and said, don't expect anything more from me.
Yeah.
Now, she didn't necessarily say it. Sometimes they do, but it's their actions basically say, nope, that's don't expect me to treat you better. Don't expect me to be more open. Don't expect me to
Yeah.
communicate better. This is as far as I go. And I think I always knew that about the time that it happened. And I stick around a lot longer because,
Mhm.
again, being a good ender is not my strong suit.
Right.
So, and out of that, as both a marriage therapist and a guy who has been married 3 times, I've also come to the conclusion. I don't know if this is just a girl thing, but since I don't do romantic relationships with men, I've
Mhm.
seen it with women. Is that most women will choose their neuroses and their defense mechanisms over love.
Yeah.
You may be that guy with right there with the box trying to, I do this for you. I do this for
Mhm.
you. I'll do anything for you. I just want you to be happy. I want
Yeah.
us to have a good life together. And she'll go, no, no, no. And they'll choose their defense mechanisms over love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it doesn't make sense to the male brain. We go, why? They say they want to be loved. Why don't they let me love her?
Yeah.
And women tell me all the time, I don't know why I don't let them love me. I just can't.
Yeah.
I've just heard that a lot. So what I would say, going back to the question,
Mhm.
is keep asking, what is her nature? What does this behavior tell me about who she is?
Yeah.
And how does that fit into my great life? Now, again, no one's going to be perfect. And what I have found, and the reason I'm still with my present wife, we've been married 8 years now, is that this woman is committed to her own personal growth and development.
Yeah.
Now, she doesn't do it just like I do it. She does it very different from me. And I know she'll do her work because we've gotten through hard times, not just because I did the work and got us through them. She did her work and we got through them.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing I would say the person asking the question, keep asking. Is this person committed to bumbling their way through,
Yeah. Is she
but
doing
doing the
anything?
work?
Yeah.
Are they doing the work? Are they getting better at any of the stuff they're doing that they know? Because in my experience, and maybe a second piece to add,
Mhm.
does the person take any degree of accountability for their
Right.
contribution to the situation? Now, again, masculine, feminine, I mean, masculine's all about accountability, feminine
Mhm.
isn't necessarily,
Yeah.
but women have enough masculine in them, hopefully, I'd say to balance their checkbook, but nobody does that anymore. But to
Right.
show up for work on time, to put gas in their car, to pay their bills. Hopefully, they
Mhm.
got enough masculine. Hopefully, the woman you're with has enough masculine to be doing those things.
Hopefully.
And hopefully, she's masculine enough to recognize she is part of the problem, that
Yeah.
she brings part of the dysfunction of the relationship. And if a woman can own that and say, I get it, I can be a bitch. I get it that I can be reactive. I get it that I can be untrusting.
Yeah.
But I want to work on it.
Yeah.
I want to grow through it. Now I'll stick around with that person.
Yeah.
I'll stick around.
Is she trying and is she making progress? This is something I made a pretty early video about too, and particularly what they like to talk about on the internet is how can you tell if someone is if she's had a hoe phase, should you trust her? And and
Well, what
the
is
way,
this with
yeah.
body counts?
Well, it's a big topic of conversation.
I
People talk
know,
about
I
it, so you got
know.
to address it. So the way I answered it was, if you don't like the way she used to live, you have to look and see if she's the type of person who can change her habits. Because yeah, if she's not able to do that, then she's going to go back into old habits when times get hard. So yeah, I mean, I think that was a pretty full answer to that question. I would say, um, if you're both actually trying to work on it, not just saying you are, and it's not getting anywhere, then that's kind of the end. Um, but the way that you can tell the difference between getting through the hard times is, I would say, if you can actually get through them, and if you really can't, then that's it, and you should probably, not spend the rest of your life wondering, oh, what if I worked on it? You did, and it didn't go anywhere. As long as you put in the effort.
Put in the effort, and again, don't try to do it alone. I mean, I believe in marriage therapy because I'm a
Hmm.
marriage therapist,
Hmm.
but Einstein said something like the thinking that got us into the problem we're in is not going to get us out of the problem.
Right.
Right? The same thinking is, and when people would walk into my office as a couple, they're locked in their own ways of viewing the problem. They've
Hmm.
defined the problem as XYZ. Now,
Yeah.
the way I'm trained, if I actually engage with them and accept their definition of the problem, I'm not going to do them any good.
Right.
I've got to help them reframe the situation and maybe even quit calling it a problem. and maybe just say, oh, this is normal shit. This is
Yeah.
what goes on when a man and a woman try to live together. This
Yeah.
is normal. Let's see how we can help you do it the best possible way. So it helps to have a different set of eyeballs and a different frame for what you're going through
Hmm.
to shift the way you view the interactions. I'll just give an example. Say
Sure.
interactions with my wife. Um, she's a jealous Latina. My wife's Mexican. She's never in her life known a man who was faithful. Every man she's ever known has been a
Mm.
serial cheater, right?
Hmm.
That's part of macho culture.
Yeah.
Began with her father and is included every man,
Yeah.
literally every man. Okay.
Yeah.
So she, of course, expects that I'll cheat on her. And, she is, and, for a long time, pretty much had no doubt of it. She's gone to work on that. She's really worked on her trust issues and her insecurities, but she'll still like get this look like, oh, I know she's got something cooked up in her head. She thinks I'm, got some girlfriend, or I can tell by the look.
Hmm.
I used to get these reactions to her, like, I'm a good guy. I haven't cheated on you. I'm not doing anything. I don't have a girlfriend. That didn't
Hmm.
work. It never got her over. But what happened when instead of me thinking, I'm being falsely accused by her, I haven't done anything wrong,
Yeah.
I started reframing it. And I thought, okay, maybe my wife isn't feeling sufficiently loved by me right now, whatever
Hmm.
that means to her.
Hmm.
Maybe she's not feeling sufficiently secure with me right now,
Hmm.
whatever that means, or
Hmm.
doesn't feel sufficiently connected to me. And I
Right.
found when women aren't happy with the man in their life, it's usually one of those three things. And it's usually not a factual thing, it's
Hmm.
an emotional thing. I just
Right.
don't feel loved by you right now. Well, what does that even mean? I bought you Lululemon. I took you out. I did that,
Oh,
blah,
right.
blah.
It just didn't
Yeah,
work. Yeah.
it did. But no, for her, it means something different. So if I can reframe when my wife goes into that place where I know her ruminating brain has cooked up something that I must be doing with, some puta,
Hmm.
um, instead of getting triggered by it, which I used to, and we go round and round, nothing ever got better. I learned to breathe and ground myself, stay in the moment,
Hmm.
and kind of get her into the moment out of the time machine of her head that's either going into the past or into the future. And by reframing, maybe she just needs more love or
Yeah.
more security or more connection with me.
Yeah.
And is there anything I can do about that? And what's been amazing, if I just ask myself those questions, I
Right.
interact with her differently and she responds
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
So
If
we
you can
need we
slow
need to
down.
reframe. And
Yeah.
I didn't do that on my own. I had to go out and get help to help me find a different way of interacting with my wife that wasn't
Yeah.
working well.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this community again, which we
There it
gotta
is again.
we really got to figure that out for them. There's a couple of questions that I did want to get to. I don't know if you had any important ones for me before we.
I got about six more, but
Oh,
I
okay,
want I
great.
want yours. No, we're
Yeah.
not going to get to all six of mine. So give me one of yours.
I wanted to know what would you say right now are the biggest bad ideas that men have and women have in your idea of the marketplace right now, in between you know, people of dating age 20 to 40. What have you noticed are the biggest bad ideas that men are saying and following, and the biggest bad ideas women are saying and following?
I'm still kind of refining this point of view, and I'm still open to feedback on it. I think what's happening for people, single people, is that both men and women are both dealing with a gigantic case of FOMO, fear of missing out. There's a lot of great guys out there that don't have status, look for money, and a lot of great women out
Hmm.
there that aren't tens. Okay. But here's
Hmm.
why those guys, those men and women, both
Hmm.
don't get noticed and don't don't notice
Hmm.
people in that category. Because what's happening
Yeah.
is, say, I'm with us men, we can look at just
Hmm.
hot woman after hot woman after hot woman. They're online, they're around us, they're in porn,
Hmm.
they're at the mall, they're walking
Yeah.
by us, right? We see beautiful women everywhere,
Yeah.
naked, next, whatever. And so
Hmm.
what happens
Hmm.
is if a guy goes, well, if I pick this woman, she seems pretty good. I'm attracted to her. We seem to be getting along, but
Hmm.
oh, she's hotter. Oh, she's younger. Or I could go for that. Or we're still scrolling. I could have the problem with the FOMO for in the men's category is if I pick one
Hmm.
and go in and just
Hmm.
give it a chance and see where it can go. On the women's side of it, it's
Yeah.
still a FOMO thing. If they're on the apps or on social media, they are getting so much fucking attention from men all the fucking time. And
Yeah.
men of all sorts are,
Yeah.
liking them, swiping right, going on their OnlyFans page, paying them money, blah, 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 blah. And so if the
Yep.
women pick
Yep.
one guy and
Lots
say,
of
I'm gonna
attention.
give it a try. He seems like a good guy. I'm attracted to him. He's intelligent. I like what he's doing in the world. I'm gonna give him a try. Oh, but that means I have to give up getting attention from hundreds or thousands of men who are following me on social media and who are swiping right. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to give up all of that attention
Yeah.
just settle for the attention of one man.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but I actually think it's
Yeah.
our technology and hookup culture has given us a giant FOMO. Men's one kind, women's is a different kind. And it's kind of like if I pick one, I got to give up the
Yeah.
option of all the others. And you talk about we're in a maturity crisis.
Yeah.
I don't want to grow up and just pick one and have to give up
Right.
being able to pick all the others.
Yeah. I think this is like what you're describing is much more of a woman problem than a man problem. Like they don't want to you know they're not interested in the guys that are giving them attention, and they all end up like the first video I ever made was a girl who was, this is she's a pretty cute girl or whatever, but she was saying, men with no hose, where are you? Because every time she likes a guy, all the other girls like him. um Definitely, I think that you hit the nail on the head with that one. I think there's more guys out there
Well,
who are getting
I said there
zero.
is a
Like, yeah, I
category of
mean,
men that are getting no
you mentioned
play,
earlier.
right? That's a whole nother category with different
Yeah.
answers. What I found with men is once they get good at it, once they figure out, once they know what they're doing, and they have a little charisma, and they got a little bit going on in their life, and if you get good, I mean, I, in my 40s, and 50s, where I got good at it, um, I had no shortage of opportunities to have sex with a lot of women, and I did it. I went through like all my integrated man whore phase,
Yep.
and I'm glad I did it because by going through it, I did get to the place where I thought I'm not really enjoying the casual sex.
Yeah.
New woman every time, got to wear a condom, got to work
Yeah,
out
for
the
sure.
details of things. I don't know how her body works. She don't know what I like. I think I kind of want to stick to having sex with one woman, get to know her, have
Yeah.
trust, but I went through that man whore phase,
Hmm.
and I kind of like, I got to the other side of it, and I go, this works better for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you once a guy learns, how to get laid
Hmm.
with multiple women, often he doesn't want to give that up. And I'm not saying he
Right.
should,
Right.
but I'm also saying that will that be satisfying in the long term?
Right. Right. Yeah, that's something that, I mean, there's this guy, Dan Bilzerian. He's this big famous guy.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if he's going crazy on Twitter. I might have seen something about that, but he
He's got a
had,
big beard, right?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, he had as much opportunity as you could imagine. I think recently he's been talking about that is not ultimately fulfilling, and this is something that, society used to manage for us, and now we have to manage it ourselves, and we don't have to, and we don't want to, and that's yeah, that might be one of the biggest problems with, like, I don't usually give very much advice to guys who are good at getting girls, because telling them not to, they're not going to listen. Hey, man,
Why would they? Yeah,
hey,
I
chill
wouldn't
out
have
on
listened
that,
to it. Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
just it's a cyclical, self-perpetuating problem. But yeah, no, I think we're on the same page with all that.
Well,
Um,
let me ask you a question
sure.
about that. Um, Again, you did the video about the woman talking about situationships.
Yes.
And again, if you guys haven't watched it, watch it. It's a great video.
Yeah.
It's got my stamp of approval.
Yeah. Lingo.
Um, Lingo, there it is.
That's what it's called.
So I stumbled on a video just a few days ago, and again,
Hmm.
I'm not on, mainly I went looking to find you on
Hmm.
videos, and I stumbled on one that maybe it had like 4 views,
Hmm.
and it was a woman talking, and it was just an image on the screen, on the video screen. It wasn't her; you couldn't see her,
Hmm.
but she was basically saying, and I think she's probably a youngish woman, and she said, I want to explore my sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn about me as a person, who I am as a sexual person. I need to have sex to do that. And I'm open to having, honest, consensual, casual sexual
Mm-hmm.
relationships with men because
Mm-hmm.
how else can I explore me as a sexual person?
Right.
And she said, "But how come guys, have to how come they have to play games? How come they have to manipulate?" Kinda like the woman in the video you talked about on
Yep.
Lingo. She
Mm-hmm.
talked about the casual cruelty of
Yeah.
men.
Yep.
So the question that I'm asking, because I can understand where the woman is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually being clear and direct about what she wants.
Right.
Can men be equally clear and direct and say, you know what? I'm not looking for a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to explore sexuality with you to see wherever it goes.
Yeah. Right
Can,
up front. Yeah.
or have the way that men been taught to do it on the internet, pick up boot camps, all that, are we just basically taught play a game, manipulate,
Yeah.
scam them, neg
Right.
them, play dread games, spin the plates, don't tell them the truth, don't let them
Right.
know, don't be vulnerable. And I'm going, why? You don't
Yeah.
have to do all that stuff to get laid if you're a guy.
Right. It would be nice. Yeah. It would be nice if they would um, be more open and honest and not, because it's not like I think that girl in that video was the only one who did anything wrong. She says the guy didn't let her know and all this stuff. And it's like you could, even if she doesn't ask, you could talk about it beforehand. Um, something about it feels like it's kind of a big ask of this generation to ask them that generate communication skills of that nature. I don't know.
Wow, but it seems beneficial.
It's
It
definitely
it
beneficial.
seemed like it might have value to. And here's the thing.
I'm trying as much as I can.
Well, I'll go back to my interactions with Gen Zs is
Hmm.
that they actually seem really open,
Yeah.
open to just curious things, whether
Hmm.
it's open to doing plant medicines, open to experimenting sexually with different. So there
Yeah.
does seem to be a real openness. My generation, even though, like I said,
Hmm.
I guess I was tail end of. I missed out, like I said, on
Hmm.
all
Hmm.
the summer of love and free sex and
Yeah.
drugs.
Hmm.
But there's an openness about them,
Hmm.
and I'm wondering if maybe the core issue we're dealing with Gen Z is they're still just young.
Yeah. Maybe it could be. It's I see some major differences between Gen Z and when I was their age, but yeah, I don't know. It could be. Teaching communication skills on a mass scale is going to be that's a lot. I'm trying to manage what I can, but
Yeah, I'm still learning how to communicate
for
myself and
sure.
just
Yeah.
ask for what
If
I
everyone
want and
yeah,
let my yes be yes and my no be no and
yeah.
be
If
clear.
everyone just came out and said what they wanted and what they were thinking, the problem would be mostly solved, but they won't. I
Well, how
do
about
I
we throw that out as maybe an idea to consider?
yeah,
And not the same thing as like we've talked about, throw out whatever you're thinking like people do on the internet and just get
right,
snarky and
right.
critical and dismissive and
Yeah.
whatever, but just say this is what I really want or
Yeah.
this isn't what I want or are you open to doing this? Because again, when I started getting laid a lot in my 40s and
Mhm.
50s, I believe it was because I was so authentic and honest with women, and they go, I'm not used to this, you need to write another book to tell men what you're doing. They
Yeah.
were not used to men
Yeah.
being clear and direct and
Right.
honest and transparent and authentic about what they wanted and where they were going and what they expected of,
And it
of the
works, right? It
interaction.
prevents it prevents a lot of problems.
And it doesn't fix everything because, like, for example, I tell a woman I'm not looking for a relationship. I've been married for 25 years.
Mhm.
I'm not rushing to get back in another long-term. And they go, I
Right.
know, I get that. Let's see where it goes, enjoy each other. Then they get that look in their eyes, and
Mhm.
they're falling. And I would remind them, remember, I heard you the first time. You don't have to tell me again that
Yeah.
you're not looking for a girlfriend. But so it
Yeah.
still gets messy. It still gets messy
For
because we're
sure.
talking about
Yeah.
love and desire and lust and sex and
Right.
roles that we don't understand and so it still gets messy. But the communication, I think, upped my sex appeal for
Yeah.
women.
Yeah. Definitely. If you know how to that's something that definitely works for me too, especially, with higher quality women, the kind that you actually want to spend your time with. If you can speak openly and honestly and actually say what you're thinking and understand the relationship better, the relationship will work better.
I was trained to look at every system of existing exactly the way it exists because everybody involved needs it to exist that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't. It'd look like something else if anybody in that system needed it to be. So, relational systems are driven by mostly unconscious dynamics, childhood
Hmm.
stuff, things that are beyond our conscious awareness. But if in marriage and family, marriage therapy, let's say, if we just tell, well, the man, you're being bad, you need to quit, or the woman, you're doing that. Now, it
Hmm.
could be they are doing things that are hurtful to the relationship,
Hmm.
but how can we look at the system the two of them have created as being the thing that we can work on? Because it's actually easier to go work on the relationship system than it is to like alter somebody's personality
Yeah.
and way of being. Like
Yeah.
people would walk in, they say, "We want you to save our marriage."
Hmm.
And I go, "I'm not willing to do that." I said, if my goal is to help you guys stay together forever, I'd teach you to be good liars. That's
Yeah.
probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But I will help you guys find different ways of interacting with each other. And if we can
Hmm.
kind of, and there's a kind of a cardinal rule of marriage therapy that says whatever the couple's fighting about is not
Yeah.
really what they're fighting about.
Yeah.
Whatever they're presenting is not the real issue.
Right.
And so if you jump on board and start helping them work out the thing they're presenting, you've just colluded with the dysfunction
Right.
that's already there.
Right.
Again, you have to reframe it. You have to shift it. You have to somehow come in and be a different way of being in that relationship for
Yeah.
them. Now, the work I'm doing with men now, I don't really do marriage therapy anymore,
Hmm.
mainly because a lot of the work I do is either like in groups and or over the internet, and I've
Hmm.
not found couples therapy to be really easy to do over the internet. I mean, I
Yeah.
can do a lot of one-on-one, fine.
For sure.
And I'm not saying I would walk away if somebody said, "Hey, Robert, we want to come to Mexico and pay you a few $1,000s to spend a few hours with you and while you work on our marriage."
Hmm.
I odds are I'd say yes to that. So it's not that I quit doing it, but I think what I see that I do with men now is that I'm as much as anything, I'm helping build community for men.
Hmm.
Where again, I go back to that thing I said earlier. I tell couples the best thing you can do is have good same sex friends. And
Yeah.
I think if I can help men have a deep connection with men, that's the foundation. And then whatever structure we build of a relationship with the opposite sex, whatever that means to us,
Hmm.
is going to be built on that good, solid foundation of men. I already know how to be vulnerable. I already know how to ask for what I want. I already know how to get supported. I already know how to let people love me as I
Yeah.
love them. And then I think that really makes doing the relationship stuff, the sexual relationship
Yeah.
or, the intimate relationship makes that a lot more manageable. But so I kind of, a question I have is that about a year ago, I went online because in my men's program, I thought
Hmm.
about doing something called, I've heard of Sober October,
Hmm.
where men make a decision not to drink for the month of October.
Hmm.
And then I ran across something called No Nut November.
Yeah.
And so I went online and looked that up. I was really blown away. I mean, looking at just internet in general, even Wikipedia, but mainstream media, kind of with thought, oh yeah, going a month without drinking, that's probably a good idea to learn,
Hmm.
self control and blah 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 blah. But when it came to the no nut November, and or deciding not to masturbate or not to look at porn, and even
Hmm.
referenced no fat movement,
Hmm.
mainstream media was like almost attacking,
Yeah.
ranging from dismissive to attacking. Even like Rolling Stone magazine had
Yeah.
this article saying this is a far right wing,
Oh, of course.
male thing, and the no fat movement. Mainly they would make fun of it, and they say that this is ritualistic, and it's kind of like they could see the value of a
Yeah.
man not drinking for a month,
Yeah.
but they both ridiculed and actually thought it was something diversive
Right.
for a man to say, "I'm not going to look at porn or jack off for a month." So, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts about that? Why
Well,
do
I
you
mean,
think that is?
I'm gonna go just directly into the conspiracy theory angle. I think that pretty much everybody in the system is reliant on spreading and propagating that. I think that the existence of easily available, explicit materials does something to the male mind that makes them submissive and unmotivated and like better slaves. I think that our system is a very sophisticated way of making men into mindless, short-term pleasure chasers, and that's one of the easiest ways to do it is
I
just
love the way you put that. Yeah.
put nudity in front of them. That's why I
And then
recommend
make
that
them
nobody
feel
watches
bad
it.
about
Yeah,
make them feel bad about being turned on by the
of
nudity
course,
at the same
because
time.
shame is good for being a
Oh,
slave
shame's
too. Yeah.
wonderful. Shame and guilt are just tremendous. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my take on it. It's not a long answer, but I think that the system pushes it because they know it's bad for us, and it's the same reason they want us fat. It's the same reason they don't cure things; they just treat them. It's the same. It's always keep people in a condition, and being addicted to XXX materials
And
it's a condition.
just let the systems keep running that are in running and have a vested investment in continuing to run.
Yeah,
Whatever those systems are, whether it's corporations, whether it's religion, whether it's political parties.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, tell everyone what you're up to and where they can find you if they want to see your stuff.
All right. Well, go to drglover.com if you want to find out about my workshops, if you want to find out about my classes, and go to integrationnation.net if you're tired of going it alone and you want a community of men.
All
And
right.
we're actually doing an open enrollment in just a few days, and we do them once a month. So check out integrationnation.net.
All
How
right.
about you? Anything you want to pitch?
Yeah, I don't know where I put the paper. Oh, I think it's under my desk. Yeah, guys should check out selfmax.ai and
There you
then
go.
look me up on Linktree too. That's where everything I do is. Linktree, put that into Linktree. You find me.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
All right. It's
HM,
been great.
it was great.
All right. I'll see ya.
Take care.